now that she's gone, I want to talk about Betty White for just a moment, and I know everybody loves it.
Yeah, let's talk about that podcast. Sally Struthers was feeling real comfortable in talking about the late Betty White 3 years after Betty passed away.
I didn't have such a great experience with her.
Really?
Very passive-aggressive woman.
So since Sally is about to be passive-aggressive towards Betty, and Betty's not here to defend herself, I will.
We went to her house once to work on a pilot for a new game show.
And they were seated at a table, and apparently there was a plate of cookies in the middle of the table, and Sally reached for one.
She said in front of everyone, "Oh, I wouldn't do that if I were you, dear. You don't need a cookie."
Oh my God.
my goodness.
Totally fat-shamed me in front of the rest of the people in the room. And I thought, gosh, that's not nice.
I mean, you're adding the "because you're fat" part, Sally. Betty didn't say you're fat. Betty could have been saying it preemptively. Like, reality is, nobody needs a cookie. You didn't need a cookie. No one ever needs a cookie, ever. And the fattening. She didn't say you need to starve yourself. She was saying you don't need a cookie, which is true. No one needs a cookie. And yeah, in any other context, that would be a rude comment to make. But reality is, you're an actress. And in this case, for this game show, you would have been a personality. You're on TV. And the sad thing is, I mean, at that time, it's probably the 1980s, 1990s. It's all male execs making the decision who's going to be on TV. And Betty's surely been in enough rooms with male execs to hear what they say. And we've heard the stories of what actresses would hear in auditions, from male execs' feedback, like you're too fat and blah, blah, blah. So reality is there is a standard. I'm not saying it's right, but I mean, there was a standard of what you have to look like on TV. And maybe that's what Betty was talking about. Like, I mean, this sounds like career advice from Betty, as opposed to, she wouldn't care if what weight you were. Betty doesn't care that. Betty's aware of what your profession is, and sadly is the expectations on how you look. And that, I'm not saying it's right, but that's the reality, and that's the world you have to work within. And so to take this one comment that Betty said was just as advice, because no one eats cookie anyways, and to say she was fat shaming you, and to make that one comment your entire opinion of Betty.
Very passive-aggressive woman.
And I actually wouldn't say that's being passive-aggressive. That's actually being very direct and blunt. And the funny thing is that, what that one comment, formed Sally's entire opinion of Betty, and yet, here's how she praises B. Arthur.
And I would run into her at the supermarket, and she would trash everyone we ever knew. We would stand in the aisle, and she'd say, "What do you think about so-and-so?" And I'd say, "Oh, she's a friend." "Oh, she can't be a friend because she's a
So she loved that B would trash everyone and curse them out.
I loved how filthy she was.
Yeah.
And yet, Betty is awful because she told you one time that you don't need a cookie. Okay, Sally, thoughts?